There are few people in the Western world of the 21st century who can claim to live a stress-free life, and for the vast majority of us, this scourge of modern living is just something we have to cope with on a day-to-day basis. Tense, nervous headaches, high blood pressure, migraines, panic attacks, insomnia and depression, to mention but a few complaints, can all be triggered by stress. And more people are turning to alternative or complementary therapies to help them tackle this ever-growing problem. Some treatments are more familiar than others. Massage, reflexology and aromatherapy are widely accepted as being beneficial, and even the most sceptical sufferer has been pleasantly surprised at how effective these side effect-free therapies can be. However, there are other treatments not quite so widely known, and this programme will provide you with a complete guide to Indian head massage, or Champissage as it's sometimes described, one of the more recent therapies to emerge in the field of complementary medicine in the West. One of the most stressful elements of our media-driven culture is a person's appearance, and we do spend a small fortune in time and money washing and dressing our hair. There are copious quantities of products available for hair beautification, and not only for the female sex. Ironically, Indian head massage did actually develop more than 1,000 years ago out of a beauty treatment. Indian women have always been renowned for their long, glossy, raven black hair, and when the Crusaders were busy trailblazing eastwards, the ladies of ancient India believed that massaging their heads with oil would keep their hair healthy, strong and glowing with a luxuriant sheen. Correct as they were on this count, we now know scientifically that massage will stimulate the flow of blood to the hair follicles, improving the supply of nutrients for healthy hair growth. They also realised that the value of head massage was far more than cosmetic. As the hub of Indian family life, the women shared the wonderful health-enhancing secrets of head massage through the entire family. Over the years, the techniques were passed from generation to generation, and to this day, Indian babies will receive head massage on a daily basis. Also, not to be outdone, the Indian men developed their own head massage, and it became the province of the barber. If you're lucky enough to travel to India, most barbers provide Indian head massage, but you'll see it on offer on street corners, beaches and busy markets as well, so you can experience this relaxing treatment in a surprisingly wide variety of locations. To understand how Indian head massage works, just as with many alternative therapies, we do need to take a step back from our high-tech Western medical practices and look at healing and well-being from a completely different perspective. With the growth of such treatments as acupuncture and reflexology, many of us have become familiar with the concept of energy flow through the body, predominantly with an Eastern influence. However, although the principle is the same with Indian head massage, it's approached in a slightly different way. There are 7 chakras or energy centres in the body, with the top 3 boosted through Indian head massage. The crown chakra is at the top of the head. The third eye chakra is precisely where the name indicates, between the eyebrows, and the throat chakra is in the neck. But we'll look at this a little more closely when the treatment is being demonstrated. Indian head massage is all about a sense of calm and well-being, and the ancient proverb that says, "A happy mind is medicine, no better prescription exists," couldn't be more true. With that thought established, it's time to introduce Anne Topnell, our therapist, who will be taking us through every stage of Indian head massage today. Anne is a very experienced healer who practices a variety of therapies to treat her clients holistically. Along with reflexology, aromatherapy and Reiki, she finds that in some circumstances Indian head massage is extremely valuable, particularly when tense, stress-induced headaches with neck and shoulder muscle pain are the predominant symptoms. If you go to any reputable therapist for Indian head massage, you'll be asked a series of very straightforward questions to build up a picture of your overall health, medical history and general lifestyle at the outset. From this consultation, Anne will be able to work out the best treatment to offer and give any follow-up tips about how to maximise its effectiveness at home. To get full access to the head, neck and shoulders, it isn't possible to use a massage couch. Anne is going to be using a chair designed to place the sitter in a well-supported semi-kneeling position, which is ideal. But don't be put off by this, it really is very comfortable, and if you would like to try out Indian head massage on a loved one at home, you can always improvise with a standard upright chair. Use plenty of pillows and get your subject to sit astride the chair facing backwards. As you can see, this creates almost the same angles for you to work at as the more specialist chair. If it's more comfortable, you can have your subject facing forwards, but make sure that they don't have their legs crossed at the knees or the ankles, and always remember that the soles of the feet need to be firmly on the ground. At the beginning of any Indian head massage, your therapist will always take a few moments to focus, and this is often described as grounding. Surprising as this might sound, for massage to be really effective, it should be as beneficial to the giver as the receiver. It's no point trying to give any kind of massage if you're feeling stressed or unwell yourself, so taking time out before you get started to make sure that you are in an appropriate frame of mind is very important. The connection between the giver and the receiver in Indian head massage is very strong, and the first part of the treatment involves the gentle laying of hands on the top of the head, waking up that crown chakra. Both giver and receiver need to take long, steady breaths while this is happening, because it will really help with relaxation. The first time you try Indian head massage, it can be a little unnerving in the initial stages, as you won't know what to expect, but this process will make you feel more at ease. Over just a few minutes, Anne will make contact with all areas of the head, the scalp, the forehead and the back of the neck, so that her recipient is now perfectly at ease with being touched. Anne can then confidently rock the head backwards and forwards, very gently, knowing that there will be little resistance, and this also induces a deeper state of relaxation. Making your recipient comfortable and able to relax with you is crucial, and if you're trying this at home, there are lots of things you can do to create a peaceful, healing ambience. A little later, you will see how you can use massage oils to enhance Indian head massage, but aromatherapy can be very helpful in creating a lovely environment in which to be the giver or the receiver. Scented candles are not only beautiful and give off a subtle soft light, they also build an atmosphere depending upon which aroma you choose. With lavender candles, you could add an extra healing element if the person you are treating suffers from insomnia, whereas a more invigorating lemon fragrance candle would be far more stimulating. If you want to take this a step further, you can use an aromatherapy burner in the room. Add a few drops of your chosen oil to water in the bowl, and the gentle heat from the tea light will evaporate the aroma into the atmosphere. Here are a few suggestions for good oils to use with Indian head massage. Considering we are talking about an Indian therapy, our first choice has to be patchouli oil, because the herbaceous shrub from which it's produced is cultivated widely in India. Patchouli is a mainstay of the perfume industry and is a great favourite in hair products, being particularly good for greasy hair and dandruff. Bergamot is a lovely oil. You'd recognise it as the fragrant scent of Earl Grey tea, and frankincense, if you can put all thoughts of Christmas out of your mind, is really calming and particularly good for helping to channel positive energy. Jasmine oil can sometimes be tricky to track down and also expensive, but the aroma is beautiful. It's wonderful for female complaints if you're using Indian head massage to help someone suffering with premenstrual or menopausal symptoms. If you like the smell of oranges, neroli, or orange blossom as it's sometimes better known, is really serene, and for anybody who is emotionally overwrought or excessively anxious, it can have a peaceful and calming effect. For scent alone, rose oil is unbeatable, although it can be rather expensive in its purest form. However, always check whether people like it or not before use. Unfortunately, rose is a fragrance that people love or hate with no half measures, and if the person you're massaging falls into the latter category, all your fine efforts to get them to relax will go to waste. Should you progress with Indian head massage and want to experiment further with aromatherapy oils, it's well worth investing in a good book or video on the subject. The two therapies really do work very well together, and if you can find an aromatherapist who also practices Indian head massage, you'll most definitely get the best of both worlds. Returning to Anne and the next stage of Indian head massage, it may come as something of a surprise that the head doesn't feature at all in the next part of the process. The shoulders are really important because this is the area in which most people first experience tension before it develops into a headache or other equally debilitating symptoms. Of all our joints, the shoulders should be the most flexible, But unfortunately, our modern day lifestyles tend to put far more pressure on the shoulders than they were ever, anatomically speaking, designed to take. Think about sitting at a computer all day, slumped over, and you can immediately appreciate the problems. The ribs are restricted, circulation is poor, and it plays havoc with the digestion. Not surprisingly, energy becomes trapped in the shoulder region and the whole body is thrown out of balance. As a stressful day unfolds, we are all inclined to raise our shoulders as the tension mounts, and the first thing that happens when this massage begins is that the shoulders relax and drop. Full access to the shoulders is crucial, and if your recipient has long hair, it needs to be put up out of the way. After effleurage, which is basically a friction rub, Anne can move on to some more specific movements. There are lots of different techniques you can use, and if you watch Anne at work here, you can see her using thumb-driven actions and stretching to really loosen up her recipient's shoulders. Thumb pushes are very useful when you are trying to break down knots in the shoulder muscles. By specific targeting with this technique, you can eliminate toxins and soften up the muscles. If you're working on much broader shoulders, you may find it easier to use the heel of the hand instead of the thumb to achieve the same effect. You can then move on to finger pulls, which feel absolutely fantastic. But Anne does conserve her energy to make sure that she can deliver a balanced treatment, paying the same amount of attention to each shoulder. A pick up and squeeze movement is equally satisfying and will really improve mobility in the shoulders. With so much shaking up of the toxins, a nice ironing down the arms with the heels of the hands will help to drain the toxins away. This is also a wonderful muscle relaxant, and if you've only got a few minutes to help a loved one relax, this technique is superb. The integral relationship between the head, neck, shoulders and upper arms will be reflected throughout Indian head massage, and Anne moves from the shoulders down the upper arms to complete this part of the massage. It really is worth paying plenty of attention to the upper arms, despite the fact that it's the head we're predominantly concerned with. Time to get a little closer to the head now, as Anne starts to work on the neck. It's at this point that it can be really helpful to use massage oil on your hands so that the delicate skin of the neck doesn't get dragged. If you have an interest in aromatherapy, a few drops of your chosen essential oils added to a carrier oil such as wheat germ or grapeseed can be most beneficial. Remember, aromatherapy is not just about smell. It works on a much deeper level as well. Essential plant oils such as lavender, rose or jasmine can actually penetrate the skin and enter the bloodstream through massage, so it's well worth giving some thought to how you can enhance your Indian head massage with aromatherapy. The neck needs to be as mobile as possible, and as tension builds up, it can become very stiff. On a physical level, Anne is able to loosen the neck muscles with massage, but you do have to open your mind to a more spiritual approach as well. The throat chakra is a vital energy point, particularly when it comes to communication. If the neck region becomes stiff and restricted through tension, it's possible that a person will find it very difficult to express themselves freely. This can cause considerable frustration and start a vicious circle, as the individual in question may well lose confidence and a sense of self-worth. Also, if you're giving Indian head massage to a recipient who spends much of their time biting their tongue, so to speak, pay particular attention to the neck area and throat chakra. It's surprising how much stiffness will have accumulated. Indian head massage is suitable for all ages, but do take extra care if your recipient is more advanced in years. Sadly, as we get older, the neck muscles become stiffer and mobility is more difficult, so you do need to be aware of this. Also, it's worth bearing in mind the fact that our modern television watching and computer operating habits force us to stick our chins forward, which is completely contrary to how the head was anatomically designed to sit on the neck. This causes the neck muscles to be continuously contracted, and the tension created will often result in headaches and migraines. However, as you're at this stage of your Indian head massage, you'll have the perfect opportunity to gently encourage the head back into its right alignment. The neck area responds very well to Indian head massage, but there are lots of things you can do to keep it in good shape between sessions. Moisturising the skin will certainly help the neck to stay supple, and for women in particular, the neck area will show signs of ageing before anywhere else, so this will also have cosmetic benefits as well. Again, you can utilise your aromatherapy oil in your choice of moisturising cream, giving you plenty of scope to experiment. There are some very practical things you can do in your day-to-day life to help your neck to function properly. How you sleep is very important, and having a pillow that supports the neck adequately is crucial. We're all guilty of not renewing pillows as often as we should, so treat yourself and your neck to some well-earned TLC and splash out on a good quality support pillow. Try not to sleep on your front because it means you have to turn your head to breathe, and this really puts an awful lot of strain on your neck muscles. Here's another good tip. When setting up your computer, make sure that it's at the right height for you to look at the screen straight on without bending your neck. It's alarming just how many people don't do this and spend hours each day cricking their necks looking at their computers. It's taken some time to get to the head itself, but finally we're there. Anne is now poised for perhaps the most concentrated part of the whole massage. Until this point, it's certainly been easier for the recipient to have longer hair tied up, but it does need to be loose for the next part of the process. When you think about the scalp, it's not an area that seems to be under the same kind of pressures as the neck and the shoulders. However, the expressions on our faces come directly from the scalp, and of course whenever we're stressed, troubled, concentrating or worried, we frown. Now, we all know from a cosmetic point of view that this is definitely not a good thing, because without doubt frowning will cause lines and wrinkles, but from a physiological perspective it can be even more damaging. This frowning and wrinkling tenses the muscles of the temples, which in turn constricts the flow of blood around the head. Certainly many people find that bad headaches start at the temples, and even more interestingly, the hair will tend to turn grey at the temples first. The tension at the temples restricts the flow of blood, starving the hair roots of nutrients, which can result in premature greying. Despite the fact that nothing will restore your hair colour, Indian head massage will quickly relieve the tension that causes congestion at the temples. It's worth mentioning here just how powerful the simple action of touch is. When a child falls, the first thing a parent will do is rub or kiss it better. And when we have headaches, our instinct to massage our own temples can be very strong indeed, and often very effective. What you see Anne doing as she massages the scalp and strokes the hair is really an extension of this most basic of principles. It has to be said that this section of Indian head massage does look very different to other massage-based therapies, but it's one of those treatments you really should try for yourself. Anne has done a very good job of relaxing her recipient so that she can maximise her beneficial work on the scalp, and surprising as it may seem, it's not unusual for people to doze off to sleep through an Indian head massage. These movements, some with quite magical names like the cat stroke and the jumping frog, will all improve the circulation, bringing a surge of blood to the hair follicles, nourishing the roots and the hair itself. Our Victorian ancestors certainly knew a thing or two about improving circulation to the scalp, because no self-respecting lady would go to bed at night without her maid brushing her hair with at least 100 strokes and often more. The effect was exactly the same as a good head massage, at a time when long, thick, shining hair was considered to be a prerequisite of beauty. As well as bringing nutrients, the circulation equally has the function of removing toxins that build up as a result of muscle tension. This is most definitely an added bonus, because if you've consulted an Indian head massage practitioner for help with a medical ailment, you'll also find that the condition of your hair will improve dramatically as well. While we're watching Anne at work, it's worth considering how to make the best of the head of hair nature has given you. There are people who claim that we don't actually need to shampoo our hair because the head's natural oils will keep everything in good condition, but this is perhaps a little extreme, although it is a fact that shampoo strips the hair of its natural oils, so if you can keep its use to a maximum of twice a week, then all the better. Look out for gentle shampoos full of natural products. If you have dark hair, henna hair products are a very good option, and you can get conditioners and waxes as well. Fair hair responds beautifully to chamomile shampoo, and it's very kind to highlighted hair. Shampoos containing coconut extracts are always a good bet, and for anybody suffering with dandruff, greasy hair, or simply a very sensitive scalp, tea tree products are very soothing. However, although we're talking about an Eastern-based treatment in Indian head massage, most cultures have an ancient tradition of natural hair treatments. Try looking at yogurt in a different way. Applying this to the hair as a wash-off conditioner can work absolute wonders, but only when it's of the plain variety. If all you've got in your fridge is strawberry flavoured, forget it. You'll end up with a ghastly, sticky, smelly mess. It can cost you a fortune to buy hot oil treatments, even though they're very good for the hair, but an alternative is olive oil. OK, so it's not hot, but in the UK in particular, a dab of olive oil at the crown of the head once a week was always regarded as a wonderful hair and scalp treatment. Other less practical things to rinse the hair with are eggs and beer, again a bit smelly and definitely better used separately. The supporters of such time-honoured treatments swear by them, and the natural goodness of both can only be of benefit. Also, take a closer look at the fruit bowl and the heavenly scented lemon. Lemon juice is wonderful for hair, particularly if it's fair, and nobody could possibly object to the fresh fragrance. You'll find that many shampoos have lemon juice on their list of ingredients, making this a very valuable beauty tip. Take a look at this pile of hair no-nos, and we all have to pretty much admit that we use at least one of these hair horrors on a daily basis. It's unrealistic to imagine being able to totally give up these wonders of hair technology, but there are things you can do to minimise the damage. When hair is wet, it's very fragile and easily broken. After washing, wrap the hair in a towel, but no wringing. You need a comb, not a brush when it's wet, working up the hair to the roots, not the other way round. If you let your hair dry naturally, then this is the best option, but if you must use a dryer for styling, let your hair dry naturally for as long as possible and only finish off with the heat. It's important to point out, however, that it doesn't matter how much you spend on hair products if your general health is not as good as it should be. Our hair is a visible indicator of how well our bodies are functioning. Dull, lank, brittle hair can often result from illness, but stress or hormonal changes can be equally damaging, and a poor diet will also contribute to lack of condition on the hair. Indian head massage on a regular basis can certainly improve matters greatly, and will also go a long way to alleviating any underlying causes. But it can be really helpful to take a close look at your diet, alcohol intake and smoking habits if you really want the perfect head of hair. As Anne's Indian head massage draws to a close, she focuses on her recipient's face and concentrates on the third eye chakra. This may sound less than scientific, but the truth is we all have healing hands. Just because it's something you've never done before doesn't mean you can't. Undoubtedly, practice will help, and these movements that Anne is demonstrating are lovely to try on a partner. As you lay your hands on your recipient's face, concentrate on passing your healing energy through your fingertips. It really does work, and if you want proof after giving a massage like this, just put your hands to your own face and you'll be amazed at the heat that has been generated. Moving down the face to the jaw area will again relieve a lot of tension, as the expression gritting your teeth in a stressful situation describes precisely what we all tend to do. Releasing pressure around the joints of the jaw and along the jawbones to the chin can be surprisingly liberating before moving on to the ears. Even if you don't like the idea of having your ears massaged, this is worth trying. You'll find a very high concentration of nerve endings in the ears, and the massage will make them feel positively hot. The energy generated will rush through the whole body, which is absolutely wonderful. For couples, this can be a very sensual affair, and Indian head massage can be a valuable way of sharing love, care, and nurturing within a relationship. Like all good things, an Indian head massage has to come to an end, and a treatment like the one you've seen Anne demonstrating will usually last about 45 minutes. It ends as it began, with a gentle laying of hands on the head in a number of positions, before finishing with Anne's hands on her recipient's shoulders. The bond between the person giving and the person receiving Indian head massage is very strong, and at the end of the treatment, Anne needs to ground herself and cut the energy ties that have linked her to her recipient. You can see for yourself how perfectly relaxed both of them are, which is definitely the telling hallmark of a good Indian head massage session. It's been very relaxing watching Anne performing Indian head massage, but if this is something you'd like to try for yourself with a partner or a loved one, you'll definitely find it helpful to look a little more closely at some of the moves. If you've never experienced hacking, you could be forgiven for thinking it's a bit of a painful process, but it's very light in the touch, although incredibly stimulating as it boosts the circulation. Watching Anne's pin and stretch technique can almost make you feel your own back opening out, and in the early stages of an Indian head massage, this one's a real winner every time. Tension literally melts away from the shoulder area and the recipient can begin to relax. Thumb circles are very useful in any type of massage, and although they are a fantastic part of Anne's Indian head repertoire, you can use them in other areas as well. If you're all knotted up in the calf muscles after an over-rigorous workout in the gym, thumb circles are a great relief, and you can do them for yourself. Some massage terms sound really quite threatening, and knuckling definitely comes into this alarming category. However, when you see this technique put into practice, it's actually only so named because the knuckles are used rather than the fingertips. If you find your recipient's muscles particularly resistant, this can be a very good way to loosen things up. And if you've got some stubborn areas of toxin buildup, which you'll recognise as lumpy granules under the skin, you can really disperse them very efficiently without overstraining your fingertips in the process. Just as knuckling sounds rather intimidating, Anne's next two techniques suggest a touch of the exotics known as the butterfly and the dragon's mouth. The butterfly is a lovely circular massage which works upwards slowly with the whole hand, and the dragon's mouth is pretty self-explanatory with a grasp and release motion that is almost mesmerising. Palm circles can be very soothing, and Anne is able to work an area very thoroughly with this technique while the recipient is able to relax. It's actually quite physically demanding on the person giving the massage, as the energy is being channeled through her whole upper body. This is one to definitely pace yourself with, but in short bursts it can be very effective. The jumping frog has definitely got an air of frivolity about it, and it's certainly appropriately named. As part of the actual scalp massage, it's fantastic for encouraging the circulation to feed the hair follicles with plenty of nutrients for healthy growth. Cat strokes are very familiar in all types of massage, but are particularly effective when dealing with the hair. Considering the abuse we expect our hair to tolerate with dryers, straighteners and other instruments of red-hot torture, it's hard to believe that hair is actually a living and growing extension of our bodies. A little TLC with the cat strokes is definitely in order and feels very pleasant into the bargain. This is a technique that's worth trying if you're massaging a recipient's back, because the long, sweeping, stroking movements are ideal when you're encouraging a positive flow of energy. This next technique is called the windscreen wiper, and again is very appropriately named. It requires a light rubbing movement with the ball of the hand and is really great for the first stage of the scalp massage. It's designed primarily as a warm-up exercise, improving the overall circulation. One of the most tangible benefits of this kind of scalp massage is the way in which it disperses the hair's natural oils. The whole length of each hair is treated to nature's own hot oil remedy, and the condition is given a real boost, particularly with this type of more rigorous technique. We talked about effleurage when Anne began her Indian head massage, which sounds complicated but simply means a friction rub. It actually requires a light touch and is a very nice way to get any massage started. There are endless old jokes about the masseuse, not least those of the large, hard-hitting variety beloved of the silent movies. And when you hear the word percussion applied to massage, it does tend to conjure up a less than flattering picture. But Anne is performing percussion here, or patting as it's sometimes termed. And as you can see for yourself, it's a most invigorating and painless process that works wonders for the circulation. To finish off this all too brief look at the top technique tips for Indian head massage, Anne's demonstrating what she calls the heel and hollow. It's the type of movement that most people would expect to see in an Indian head massage and sums up the great tactile quality of this superb healing hands treatment that deserves a place in complementary medicine the whole world over. After watching Anne's fine efforts, you'll hopefully be inspired to find a therapist who offers Indian head massage in your area to give it a try. However, should you prefer to have a taster of what it feels like first, this is one of those wonderful treatments you can also do for yourself very successfully. So we've asked Anne to come up with an easy self-massage routine. Firstly, get yourself into a good, upright, comfortable position with both feet very firmly on the ground. Close your eyes and take some deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and really try to relax. If it's hard to switch your mind off, imagine being in a warm, sunny place, perhaps at the beach, lying on soft, golden sand. Just by making the time to do this for yourself will be of great benefit, and some soothing music plus the delicate aroma and flickering light of a scented candle will certainly help the mood. Remember, even if you have no one else around to do this for you, it's a little piece of tranquility that everybody deserves. You are worth it, and the boost this will give to your self-esteem is priceless. Once you're comfortable and ready to begin, you can start work on the shoulders, kneading gently with the heel of the hand. At this stage, use the palm, not the fingertips, and just enjoy the sensation. If you'd like to use a little massage oil, that's absolutely fine, and obviously working with aromatherapy here will just give you an added bonus. Pay particular attention to the arms. If you're getting it right, you'll notice the skin quickly getting pink and feeling warm. This means you're successfully achieving your goal. Moving up to the neck, go for soothing circular movements, and when you reach the occipital area at the base of the skull, use your fingertips to really release any tension. It's a spot where the muscles get very tight, and you'll be surprised at how tense and sore the neck can be here, even if you didn't think at the outset that you were particularly stressed. The scalp will be very receptive to your touch, and you can use a variety of movements here. This is the lovely thing about self-massage. You can really experiment and discover what feels nicest. Lace the fingers through the hair to really reach all areas of the scalp and get it moving. There are thousands of nerve endings, so don't be surprised if you're massaging a spot at the back of your head and it makes you want to sneeze. Move to a different area and the sneeze will go away. Even if you've only got a few minutes, you'll definitely feel revitalised after this massage, so chill right down and draw things to a close by resting the palms of your hands on the temples. If you can stay in this beautifully relaxed state and meditate for just a couple of minutes, it's far better than getting up and rushing around again immediately, as you can quickly undo all the good you've done. It's also really nice to just finish off with a few neck stretches, but see how you feel and always go with the flow. And so our Indian head massage program draws to its inevitable conclusion. Hopefully you'll have been both entertained and enlightened about this wonderful therapy that literally works miracles for both the body and soul. Having seen what's actually involved in an Indian head massage, you can confidently find a therapist in your area to give it a go. However, even if you don't get quite that far, the self-massage is well worth trying out. Remember, you can do this anywhere, sat at your desk at work or in a few minutes snatched during a hectic lunch hour. But if you can possibly set aside a little pampering time for yourself at the end of the day, the experience will be all the more rewarding. It's also a precious gift that you can share with loved ones all around you, because the power of touch, as practiced in Indian head massage, is as valuable today as it was in ancient India. And you can be absolutely certain that this will continue to be the case for as long as mankind walks this earth.